support what is a very important issue in trying to stop these horrible companies from blacklisting our workers. The reason we are in Dundee is that one of the main protagonists in blacklisting our workers is Sir Robert McAlpine, and they have won a massive contract for the Dundee project. So once we leave here, we're going to leave here at the end of this meeting down Reform Street, down to the waterfront, to hold a wee protest down at the waterfront. We've got a number of speakers this morning, and I'll just go through the list. We have Jim McGovern MP, who's on the Scottish Affairs Select Committee, who's doing an investigation into the blacklisting, as I'm sure you'll all know. We've got Neil Findlay MSP, who's leading the charge in anti-blacklisting in the Scottish Parliament. We've got an ex-MP for Dundee, John McCallion, who we'll come to speak to very soon as well. And Rob Sherry, who's a regional organiser for Unite the Union. We also have Mike Arnott from the Dundee Trades Council, and finally Jake McLeod, who's a Unite activist and blacklisted electrician. So without further ado, don't want to keep you too long on this cold morning, so I'll ask Jim McGovern to come up and address you.
An inquiry into blacklisting, but I have been advised by legal advisors to make clear that I'm not here today representing the Scottish Affairs Select Committee. I'm here in a personal capacity. But all the evidence we've taken about blacklisting is in the public domain, so anything I mention here is not going to prejudice anybody's case against employers or organisations. First of all, I'd like to thank Francie Graham and Stuart Merchant for being the main drivers behind today's demo. I would also thanks Stuart and Francie. Both of them were on the blacklist, and at my invite they very kindly came down to London and gave evidence to the Scottish Affairs Select Committee, and I can tell you the committee members were moved. They were stunned, but they were also moved by the evidence that they heard. So I'm very, very grateful. I'm also grateful to Dundee Trades Council for helping to organise this, and obviously, as I said, I'm grateful to everybody here for turning up. As part of the evidence we've heard evidence from people who have been blacklisted, and heard evidence from people who have been involved in blacklisting, and you'll see one name looms large throughout, and that's McAlpine, Sir Robert McAlpine Ltd. Originally it was the Economic League, and we also had a debate in Parliament about blacklisting, and we found out it wasn't just construction workers. Davy Hamilton, MP for Midlothian, former miner, was jailed during the strike in the mid-80s, and so Davy obviously ended up on the blacklist. But it wasn't only Davy, his wife was also blacklisted because of Davy's actions as a picket. Jane couldn't find work, and she eventually had to use her mother's address in order to get a job, which obviously is atrocious. Also heard from Jim Cunningham, MP, a Scottish MP who represents a constituency in Coventry and previously worked in the motor car industry, and he said that blacklisting was also widespread in the motor car industry. One of the issues I've raised both at the committee and in the Commons was about a man well known probably to everyone here of a certain age in Dundee, Sid Scroggie. Sid was a disabled war veteran, and certainly to my knowledge not a trade union activist, not a political activist. He lost a leg and the sight in both eyes serving his country, this country, during the Second World War, and he ended up on the blacklist. And what was his crime? He wrote a letter to the Scotsman congratulating Dundee District Council, as it was then, for buying a painting of Nelson Mandela. I mean, just how bad can it get? So we've heard from various MPs. We also heard from Ian Kerr, who was responsible for the successor organisation to the Economic League, which was the Consulting Association. Ian Kerr, unfortunately, he's now passed away. He gave evidence last year, and he told us that that organisation was set up with a £10,000 loan from whom? McAlpine's, Sir Robert McAlpine's. I've got to say, if I can defend Ian Kerr at all, he was remorseful about the reprehensible actions he got involved in. We also heard from a guy called Jack Winder, who was responsible for setting up an organisation called Capram, Ian Kerr admitted that his organisation, the Consulting Association, mainly targeted individuals like Francie and Stuart and probably a lot of other people here. Capram, on the other hand, targeted organisations like the Socialist Workers' Party, the Communist Party, Greenpeace, anybody that they thought was to the left of what they wanted. Jack Winder also told us that his organisation was set up with £10,000, not a loan, a bung of £10,000 from whom? Sir Robert McAlpine Ltd. So you'll see that there's a thread runs through here. And incidentally, on the subject of McAlpines, back in the sort of early to mid-70s, when I started my apprenticeship, and I'm proud to say on the first day of my apprenticeship I joined the GNB and I've been a member ever since. But there was a massive construction site in Perth, a company called General Accident, world famous insurers, were building their world headquarters at Cherrybank in Perth. A massive site, golf courses, swimming pools, office accommodation, bedroom accommodation, and we got the glazing contract for that construction site. We were told that when we went to Perth, we were not allowed to say we're from Dundee. We had to say we're from Edinburgh. The reason, McAlpines had said they would not allow Dundee people on their sites. Now, Colin McAlpine, the chief executive who gave evidence to the Scottish Affairs Committee, admitted that was the case, but he said it was because the site manager was from Edinburgh and he wanted Edinburgh people on site. But in my view, McAlpines didn't only blacklist individuals, they blacklisted the whole city, the people of the city of Dundee. Now, on that site, as you can imagine, because it was so big, there were numerous canteens, and we were even told by our gaffers, by our managers, if we went for something to eat, don't say, could I get a pear? Say, could I get a pie? Don't say, can I get a fried egg roll? Say, a fried egg roll. Otherwise you would give away the fact you're from Dundee. So the name McAlpine looms large throughout this, and you know, it's been compared to McCarthyism in America in the 50s. I actually think it's worse. At least McCarthy faced the people that he was making allegations about. What happens here is sinister, it's shady, it's behind closed doors. McCarthyism was stamped out. I don't refer to this as McCarthyism, I refer to it as McAlpineism. Let's stamp it out.